The champagne glass hit the marble floor and shattered into 1,000 pieces. Just like my heart did 20 years ago when they first called me nothing. I watched the golden liquid spread across the white tiles of the ballroom. Everyone stops talking. All eyes turn to me. My cousin Sarah stands there with her mouth open. She was the one who threw the glass. She was angry because I just told everyone the truth. Before I continue, if you love family revenge stories, subscribe to our channel for daily family revenge stories that will inspire you. Thank you. Let's get started. My name is Grace Lake. I am 34 years old. And I am the CEO of the biggest company in this town. But they don't know that yet. Well, they didn't know until 5 minutes ago. Let me tell you how this all started. I was born into the Lake family. We were not poor, but we were not rich either. My father worked at a factory. My mother cleaned houses for wealthy people. I had big dreams, but my family always told me to be realistic. They said dreams don't pay bills. When I was 14, my parents died in a car accident. I had to go live with my Uncle Robert and his family. Uncle Robert was my father's brother, but he was nothing like my father. He was mean and cold. His wife Margaret was even worse. They had 2 daughters, Sarah and Jennifer. Both were spoiled and cruel. From the first day I moved in, they made it clear that I was not welcome. They called me the charity case. They said I should be grateful they took me in. But grateful was not what I felt. I felt angry and sad and lonely. At family gatherings, things got worse. All my relatives would come together for birthdays and holidays. They would talk about their children's achievements. Sarah got into a good college. Jennifer won a beauty contest. But when it came to me, they would shake their heads. Poor Grace, they would say. She has no talent. No future. She will never amount to anything. My Aunt Margaret would smile her fake smile and say, well, not everyone can be special. Some people are just meant to be ordinary. The worst part was when they would introduce me to their friends. This is Grace, they would say. She's nobody special. Just Robert's brother's kid. We took her in out of kindness. Nobody special. That phrase followed me everywhere. It hurt every single time. When I turned 18, I moved out. I got a small apartment and worked 3 jobs to pay for college. I studied business and computer science. I was good at it. Very good. But I never told my family about my grades or my achievements. They never asked anyway. While I was in college, I started a small tech company with my friend Marcus. We created software for businesses. At first, we worked from my tiny apartment. We ate instant noodles every day and slept on the floor sometimes. But we believed in our vision. My family thought I was wasting my time. At family gatherings, they would laugh when I mentioned my business. Grace thinks she's an entrepreneur, Sarah would giggle. She's living in a fantasy world. You should get a real job, Uncle Robert would say. Stop playing around with computers. You're embarrassing the family. But I didn't stop. I worked harder. Marcus and I grew our company slowly but steadily. We hired more people. We got bigger clients. We made more money. But I kept it secret from my family. I lived in the same small apartment. I wore the same simple clothes. I drove an old car. Why did I hide my success? Maybe I was protecting myself. Maybe I was waiting for the right moment. Or maybe I just wanted to see how long they would keep treating me like nothing. The company grew bigger and bigger. We developed new software that revolutionized how businesses managed their data. Big corporations started buying our products. We expanded to other cities, then other countries. By the time I was 30, my company was worth millions. By 32, it was worth hundreds of millions. Now at 34, it's worth over $1 billion. I am one of the richest people in our town. But my family still thinks I'm nobody. At family gatherings, the treatment got worse as years passed. They seemed to enjoy putting me down. It became their entertainment. Last Christmas, Sarah announced her engagement to a banker. Everyone celebrated and praised her for catching such a good man. At least one of the Lake women knows how to secure her future, Aunt Margaret said, looking at me with pity. Not everyone is so lucky. Don't worry, Grace, Jennifer added with fake sweetness. Maybe you'll find someone who doesn't mind dating a failure. I smiled and said nothing. I had learned to stay quiet during these attacks. But inside I was planning something. The annual Lake family reunion was coming up in 3 months. It's the biggest gathering of the year. All the relatives come. All the family friends. Everyone who ever called me nobody would be there. I decided it was time to tell them the truth. I spent those 3 months preparing. I hired the best event planner in town. I rented the ballroom at the Grand Hotel. The same hotel where the town's elite hold their parties. I sent out invitations to everyone in the family. I told them it was a special announcement. They were curious but not impressed. They probably thought I was announcing an engagement or a new job. Something small and ordinary. The night of the event arrived. I wore a simple black dress. Nothing fancy. I wanted to look like the same old Grace they always knew. Everyone came. Uncle Robert and Aunt Margaret. Sarah and Jennifer. All my cousins. All the aunts and uncles who ever looked down on me. Even some family friends who witnessed my humiliation over the years. They walked into the beautiful ballroom and were surprised. The decorations were elegant. The food was expensive. The champagne was top quality. This must have cost a fortune, I heard Aunt Margaret whisper to Uncle Robert. How can Grace afford this? She probably went into debt just to show off. They all gathered around waiting for my announcement. I could see the confusion in their eyes. They expected me to look nervous or desperate. Instead, I stood confident at the front of the room. Thank you all for coming, I began. I know you're wondering why I brought you here tonight. Finally going to announce your engagement? Sarah called out. Did you find someone desperate enough? Everyone laughed. The same cruel laughter I had heard for 20 years. I smiled calmly. No engagement. But I do have something important to share. I walked to the front of the room where a large screen was set up. With a remote control, I turned it on. The screen showed the logo of Sterling Tech Solutions, the biggest technology company in our town. Everyone recognized it. It employed thousands of people. It had contracts with the government. It was in the news all the time. You all know this company, I said. Sterling Tech Solutions, the most successful business in our town. Maybe even in our state. Yes, we know, Uncle Robert said impatiently. What does this have to do with your announcement? I clicked the remote again. The screen now showed a photo of the company's CEO. It was me. But not the simple Grace they knew. This was me in an expensive business suit, sitting in a modern office, looking powerful and confident. The room went completely silent. My name is Grace Lake, I said clearly. I am 34 years old. And I am the founder and CEO of Sterling Tech Solutions. The silence stretched on. I could hear people breathing. I could hear the air conditioning humming. But nobody spoke. Sarah was the first to react. That's impossible, she said. You're lying. You work at some small computer company. You live in a tiny apartment. I clicked the remote again. Now the screen showed financial reports. Revenue numbers. Profit margins. All public information that anyone could verify. Sterling Tech Solutions made $2.3 billion in revenue last year, I said. Our profit was $800 million. We employ 15,000 people across 12 countries. I clicked again. The screen showed newspaper articles about the company's success. Magazine covers featuring me as CEO of the Year and Tech Visionary. Awards ceremonies where I accepted recognition for innovation and leadership. This is impossible, Aunt Margaret whispered. You can't be, you're nobody. You're nothing special. I've been nobody special for 20 years, I said. While you all reminded me that I would never amount to anything, I was building the most successful company in town. Jennifer stood up. Her face was red. You're lying. This is some kind of trick. You probably hired actors or something. I pulled out my phone and called my assistant. Michelle, please send the car around to the Grand Hotel. And contact the mayor's office. Tell them I'll need to reschedule our meeting tomorrow. Everyone could hear Michelle's voice on the phone confirming my instructions. She mentioned specific details about city contracts and business deals that only the real CEO would know about. I hung up and looked around the room. Everyone was staring at me like they had never seen me before. The funny thing is, I continued, you all had chances to be part of my success. I could have hired family members. I could have invested in your businesses. I could have helped you all become wealthy. Uncle Robert stepped forward. His voice was shaky. Grace, sweetheart, we always believed in you. We always knew you were special. I laughed. It was not a happy laugh. Really? Last Christmas you told me I was an embarrassment to the family. You said I should stop dreaming and get a real job. That was just, we were trying to motivate you, Aunt Margaret said quickly. We wanted you to reach your potential. By calling me nobody? By telling your friends I was nothing special? By laughing at my dreams? Sarah suddenly rushed toward me. Grace, cousin, we're family. We love you. We always supported you. That's when she reached for my arm and I stepped back. She lost her balance and knocked over the champagne glass. It shattered on the floor. The sound seemed to wake everyone up. Suddenly they were all talking at once. Grace, we need to talk about family investments. I always said you were smart, remember? We should celebrate your success. This is wonderful news. I have some business ideas you might be interested in. I watched them scramble to change their attitude. The same people who spent 20 years crushing my spirit were now trying to benefit from my success. But it was too late. I want to tell you all something, I said loudly. Everyone stopped talking and listened. For 20 years you made me feel worthless. You convinced me that I was nobody, that I would never succeed, that I didn't belong in this family. I paused and looked at each of their faces. You were wrong. I didn't just succeed. I became more successful than any of you ever dreamed of being. And I did it without your help, without your support, without your love. My voice got stronger as I continued. Sarah, you married a banker because you thought that was success. His annual salary is less than what my company makes in one day. Sarah's face turned white. Jennifer, you won a beauty contest and thought you were special. I employ more people than live in this entire town. Jennifer started crying. Uncle Robert, you told me to get a real job. I created 15,000 real jobs for other people. Uncle Robert opened his mouth but no words came out. And Aunt Margaret, you said not everyone can be special. You were right. You can't be special. But I can. And I am. I walked toward the door. Everyone followed me, talking desperately. Grace, please, we're family. We made mistakes, but we can fix this. You have to forgive us. We need each other. I stopped at the door and turned around one last time. You need me, I said. I don't need you. I stopped needing you 20 years ago when you first called me nobody. I walked out of the ballroom. My driver was waiting with my car. A black Mercedes that cost more than most people's houses. As we drove away, I could see my family members running out of the hotel, calling my name, begging me to come back. But I didn't look back. The next week, my phone rang constantly. Text messages, emails, letters delivered to my office. All from family members who suddenly wanted to reconnect. Sarah wanted to quit her job and work for my company. Jennifer needed money for a business idea she had. Uncle Robert was facing bankruptcy and needed a loan. Aunt Margaret wanted me to invest in her friend's restaurant. I didn't respond to any of them. My assistant Michelle asked me if I wanted to schedule meetings with my family members. No, I told her. I don't have family members. I have employees, business partners, and friends. That's all. Some people might think I'm being too harsh. They might say family is family and I should forgive them. But I disagree. Family is not about blood. Family is about love, support, and respect. For 20 years, these people showed me none of those things. They had countless opportunities to be kind to me. They chose cruelty instead. Now they want to benefit from my success. Now they want to be part of my life. It's too late. I built my company from nothing. I created my success with my own hands and my own mind. I did it while they laughed at me and called me nobody. I don't owe them anything. Today I'm sitting in my office on the 42nd floor of Sterling Tower, the building I bought and named after my company. Through my window I can see the entire town spread out below me. I employ thousands of people. I pay millions in taxes that fund schools and hospitals. I donate to charities that help children and families in need. I make a difference in this world. I am somebody. I was always somebody. They just couldn't see it. Sometimes at night, I think about that 14-year-old girl who moved in with her uncle's family. She was scared and alone and desperate for love. They could have given her that love. They could have helped her heal from losing her parents. They could have made her feel welcome and valued. Instead, they broke her spirit over and over again. But that broken spirit became my strength. Every time they called me nobody, I worked harder to become somebody. Every time they said I would fail, I pushed myself closer to success. In a strange way, I should thank them. Their cruelty motivated me. Their rejection drove me to achieve more than I ever imagined possible. But I won't thank them, because their motivation came from meanness, not love. They didn't want to help me grow. They wanted to keep me small. The girl they called nobody became the most powerful person in town. The failure they predicted became the biggest success story in the city's history. And they missed it all, because they were too busy looking down on me to see who I really was. Now they see. Now they know. But now it's too late. I am Grace Lake. I am 34 years old. I am the CEO of Sterling Tech Solutions. And I am nobody's nobody anymore. Thank you for listening. If you were inspired by this story, please like and subscribe.